It was a very lovely, large garden where the children used to play after the school. The garden was full of many fruit trees. The birds sang there. One day, the giant, who was the owner of the garden, came back. He went to visit his friend and stayed there for 7 years. So, when the children saw the giant, they became very afraid and ran out of the garden. The giant told to himself, "It is my garden and I will not allow anybody to play in my garden." So he built a huge wall around the garden with a signboard placed on the wall, and he wrote on it, "Trespassers will be prosecuted." Now the poor children had nowhere to play. They played on the roads. They were totally unhappy, sad. They thought of their beautiful days spent in the garden of the giant. Now it was the springtime. All over the country, spring came. But in the giant's garden, hail and north wind, hailstorms, and north wind rained thoroughly. The giant was very surprised. He could not understand why spring had not come to his garden. One morning, the giant was lying awake in his bed. Suddenly, he heard the very lovely voice, a very lovely voice. For so many times, for a long time, he did not hear any music. So it seemed to him to be the most wonderful music of the world. He immediately came out of his bedroom. He thought that probably the king's musicians were passing by. But in reality, a linnet was singing outside. The giant saw that his garden was full of children. Children came to his garden, and in each tree, a child was sitting. The trees were very happy to get the child back. The birds were also singing. But in the farthest corner of the garden, there was a still wind. Everywhere, spring was there. The trees covered themselves with flowers. But in the farthest corner of the garden, the tree was very helpless. North wind, hailstones rained over the tree. The giant saw that under the tree, a small child was standing. The giant went to his garden. As soon as the children saw the giant coming, they ran away. But the child, who could not climb up the tree, who was standing under the tree, he was so much sorrowful. He was crying, so he could not notice the children coming towards him. Now the giant took the child in his arms, and he placed the child in one of the branches of the tree. As soon as the child sat on the branch, the tree, as if was very happy, and immediately burst into flowers. The birds came and sat on the tree and started singing. The other children saw that the giant was completely changed. The giant was now a very good person. So they also came back. The little child, he was very happy to see the kindness of the giant, and he kissed him, and he kissed the giant. Now the giant understood why spring did not come to his garden, because he was selfish. He also understood that in his garden there are many flowers. He said that I have many flowers in my garden, but children are the most beautiful flowers of all. Each day after the school, the children came and played with the giant. But the little child never came. The giant loved all the children, but he loved the child, little child, most, because he kissed the giant. He inquired after the child. He asked them, "Where is your little friend? Why has he not come to the garden from that day?" The children answered, "We had not seen him before. We had seen him on that day." Now, with the years, the giant became old and he was feeble, very weak. So he used to sit in an armchair and watch the play of the children. One day, the giant saw the little child. He was very happy and came near the child. When he came near the child, when he went to the child, he was so much angry. Why? Because the child had red marks on his hands and on his feet. The giant asked the child, "Who dared to wound you?" কার এত বড় সাহস যে তোমাকে আঘাত করেছে? Tell me, I will immediately kill him. Now the child answered that these are the wounds of love. এইগুলো হলো ভালোবাসার ক্ষত. Now the giant understood that this child is not merely a simple child. He is probably some divine power. The giant kneeled down in front of the child and said, "Who are you?" The child answered, "Once you allowed me to play in your garden. একদিন তুমি আমাকে তোমার বাগানে খেলতে দিয়েছিলে। Now I will take you to my garden. আজকে আমি তোমাকে নিয়ে যাব আমার বাগানে। That is paradise, যেটা হলো স্বর্গ। তাহলে যদি আমরা কখনো জীবনে ভালো কাজ করি, তাহলে কিন্তু তার প্রতিদান স্বরূপ আমরা তার থেকে অনেক বেশি কিছু পাবো। The giant allowed the child to play in his garden. Now the child, who was Jesus Christ, took the giant to his garden, that is heaven. In the afternoon, while the children came to play in his garden, they saw that the giant's body was covered with flowers. He was dead. এর মানে কি? এর মানে জায়ান্টকে নিয়ে চলে গেছে কোথায়? স্বর্গে, সেই ছোট্ট শিশুটি।